Hello everyone. Today's topic is about Fortigate GUI and how Fortigate GUI is very user friendly, and the way Fortigate GUI helps you to navigate through different options. We are going to go through all the options right from the network to the advanced options of CLI and all the things. But moreover, the focus would be on GUI and how to interact. Where are the options if you want to configure XYZ things, where would you find them on the GUI? So it's an overall overview on the GUI and nothing else. We are not going to configure anything. We are not going to dive into specific configurations. We are not going to go through bunch of utilities in them. We are just going to glance, look at the options, look at the variables, look at the configurations available to use them and other things. So yes, let's get started. So very first thing, and also I'm gonna guide you where you can look for the GUI without getting the firewall. So stick around. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the website that Fortinet offers. Okay, I'll start from scratch. So all you have to do is just search for Fortinet Fortigate Demo. Okay, and this is the very first website that pops up. It says fortigate.fortidemo.com. Okay, you hit there, and this will give you an demo website of how Fortigate looks. So the reason it got logged in by default because I was already logged in there. I will just log out and log back in. You have to accept it, of course. Username is demo, password is demo, all small, no caps. Okay. So this website is particularly built to give an idea about how FortiGate Firewall looks, how FortiGate Firewall is really about to get the feel of the GUI and how FortiGate Firewall functions. So I'm assuming you guys, the audience which is looking at this video right now, is very much familiar about Fortinet as a brand and Fortinet as a firewall. So you can skip forward this particular section, but who those for this is for those audience who really don't know how FortiGate firewall function and why FortiGate, what is FortiGate actually. So Fortinet is actually a company, network security company. It's a MNC big which gives a lot of product in various products. These is complete. They have like more than 50 products. If I'm not wrong, 50 plus successful products. All products are phenomenal. They give securities to emails, IPS, that is intrusion prevention service. They have automated network security, universal zero trust access. So they have wide range of products for all type of security, Ethernet switching, that is for your network switches security, email security, enterprise management analytics. Then they have private cloud SDN, they have SD-WAN solutions, they have SIM solutions, DDoS, that is distributed denial of service. So basically a lot. And they have recently announced their first AI powered chip, FortiGuard AI powered chip. So they are doing phenomenal. This company is regarding to network security and everything. So one of their successful and peak product is FortiGate Firewall. So if you go FortiGate firewalls, so you see this one. They provide next gen firewall right from scratch, and they literally build this firewall on their own chip, that is SPU and NPU. So they have their own chips, network processing unit and security processing unit. So yes, these are firewalls, ASIC, patent ASIC architecture for improved performance and great ROI, reduced power consumption. A lot of things in their particular portfolio, but today we are going to specifically focus on FortiGate firewalls, and they have really developed it very well for all segments, right from entry level segments to an enterprise level segment. They have all type of firewalls designed and developed, and the main benefit of this particular firewalls are they run on 40 OS. So integration with different products of Fortinet is completely smoothless with their proprietary protocols, completely useful and very much user friendly and easy to access. Most importantly, easy to access as an administrator. Being an administrator, the only pain we feel is there are multiple vendors, there are multiple OEMs, there are multiple solutions, there are multiple needs of this growing technology, and Fortinet really has our back in that. So coming to the next, this is the FortiGate GUI. This is how it looks. So we have dashboards. Let's start with the upper level view. So this is a favorite section. So you see a star, you can add this particular to favorite. Any option that you see in the entire list will be added to favorite. So you can really customize your favorite dashboard over here. You can add widgets, you can add XYZ things over here, depending on how daily what your options you use. So let's not go there. That's completely on the user's choice. Let's start with dashboard. So these are dashboards. You see a line dividing here. Everything below is default given. You can definitely add from here. And everything above this line is a dashboard block. So this is a pane of glass. You can add widgets over here and select them and add them like this. Okay. And once you have the widget here, you can just look at the data over there. See? Okay. So when you have all these things, this is called a widget, the way we have in your iOS or your Apple Android device, widget. And depending on what widgets you like and what widgets you really want to be on your screen, you can create the screens over here, multiple dashboards with multiple use case scenarios. Again, I will leave this on the user's choice, what exactly user want. So first two options are completely customizable and depending on the users. Now, the main trick or trick comes here after network. So this is all configuration part. Below this, apart from these two options, everything is configuration part. The two options are for monitoring and dashboards. Coming to network, what we have in network. So we have interface, DNS, and SD-WAN, we have static routes, we have policy routes, we have dynamic routes over here. These are RIP, OSPF, BGP, and then we have diagnostics. Okay, so what I can summon you from this particular option is network options will give you everything that's related to interface, everything that is related to L2 and L3 configuration. Okay, so if you are very much familiar with the configuration scenarios, if you are an L1, L2 engineer, you might be aware of these terms called L2 and L3 uh, layer network. So L2 is basically ARP level and IP level configurations. L3 is routing level configuration, and this particular configuration will be found over here. So if you want to play around with IP, if you want to change the IP, if you want to change the routing, if you want to change the default route or related to L2 and L3 configuration in the network can be done in this particular network option. So we have interfaces. So all the interface that you see here must have an IP, and this IP can be given in this particular option. I've double clicked the interface so I can get the interface details. So this is all the configuration that this particular interface is having. And I can see status over here, it is down. I can see the firewall host name, so I'm very much clear where I am. This is the interface name. This is the logical board name that you will find. Okay, you can give your custom alias to it, so you can identify the particular interface according to your need. You can give VRF ID, that is virtual routing. Sorry, my bad. VRF ID there. You can define roles, LAN, WAN, DMZ, undefined. So many of the times, new engineers get confused about the roles in any interface. So these roles will just define what kind of configuration will be visible on the GUI. Okay, it can be possible that you define this particular interface as WAN and you give a private IP, which is completely okay. You are configuring this particular interface as your local interface, and still you can give the role as WAN. That's completely okay. That's not the problem. All the configurations can be done, can be changed according to your needs. Defining a role is just that it gives you more simpler way to configure things. Whatever LAN configuration is required will be visible to you when you give the role as LAN. When you give the role as WAN, you get these options of triple PoE and everything. Okay, so these are really small things, but might get confused if you use for a longer period of time. So, yep, coming to the next, we have IP. How you want to give your IP, manual IP, DHCP, triple PoE, one arm sniffer, IPAM, really various ways to configure them. Okay, how administrative access, do you want to give admin access on this particular interface or not? Then we have DHCP servers, we have this is a completely new IPv6 options given by Fortinet for us. This is really a great thing. They keep on updating their feature portfolio. Then network detection. This will basically detect the end user is getting connected to the firewall, their MAC address, their OS. Is it a Windows? Is it a Mac? Is it an Android or iPad? Whatever it is, depending on the MAC address filtering. Then outbound profile, traffic shaping, inbound traffic shaping, comment if you want to add specifically, disable, enable interface, and various options over here available. And if you click on show in CLI, it will open the same configuration into a CLI mode. That's it. So we are not focusing on CLI today, we are focusing on GUI more today. So here it is. Here we similarly, if I go back and open any other interface, I will get the same thing over here. You see? Cool. So on the right side, you might be seeing some information over here. So this is the MAC address of the interface. This is the status of the interface. This is the reference where this interface would be used. If you click on reference, you will get all the details of where this particular interface has been utilized into the firewall configuration. I'll show you that in after a moment. These are online guides, some relevant documents, video tutorials. So whatever option you are into. So right now you are into interface and you're using port number 39. So you're basically looking for a port configuration. So related videos will be presented here. This is for net community pages. Some, you know, recently observed pages would be available here. So, yes, this is really helpful in case you need a troubleshooting help from the community or from the documents of Fortinet. Okay, now moving out to next option. Also, in the interface option, let's say you don't want to look for the interfaces this way, the way it is at this now. So what you can do is you can click here, group by type, group by role. So just a minute ago we discussed about we can define roles to the particular interface. And if you're defining those roles, you can filter out the interfaces on basis of roles. So these 7 interfaces are LAN, these 25 are undefined, these 7 are WAN. So you might be saying these are 3, these are actually 7. So we have VPNs. Okay. So these are as WANs. So when we group this by status, it would be down interfaces 14, up interfaces 25. So this really helps you during the troubleshooting when you create such kind of scenarios that you want to filter out only these active interfaces and not the disabled interfaces. Or this is just an instant way of grouping the interface, but this is not the only way of grouping the interface. Okay, at any point of time you can just look at these columns, hover your cursor over the column, and you will see a funnel coming here. So you can filter it down according to your needs. So if I want to see LAN interfaces and which are active and which are not, so what I'll do is I'll see over here which are active and which are not. If you see, there is no status column in this is name, type, member, IP, trans receiver, administrative access, DHCP client, DHCP range, and reference. There is no status column. So when I hover over here, I get an option, and then I can add status from here. Where is it? Status. Link status, apply. So you see the link status over here. So now I can just filter it up, apply. All the up status are visible, rest are gone. Okay, so this is not the only way to filter the interface, but this is the easy way to filter the interface. And still you can do the filtration part from here also from the column section. If you don't have any particular column that you need, you can just filter out from yourself, filter out for yourself from this particular column. Okay, then we have a heat map on the top of the particular firewall about what exactly interface is up and down. You can just hover your cursor there and you get a very small information about the interface right on the pop-up. It gives interface size, link, port speed, type, role, transceiver, and port group as well. So this is very easy way to see what interface is up and down during the troubleshooting and during the configurations. Okay. Now this is all about interfaces. Let's go to DNS. So I'm not gonna run through all of these options. I'm gonna fast forward as soon as like quickly because I don't want this video to be a very long an hour video. So we are just running through all this. So next is DNS. You specify FortiGate servers over here. You see the FortiGate servers. Depending on your geolocation where you are, if you are in US, you might get a low latency, but if you are outside US, let's say Middle East or maybe in Asia, you might get more latency to FortiGate servers. So I would recommend going with specific and adding maybe Google or whatever ISP or whatever you're getting from the ISP and something. So you can add it according to your need. The primary DNS would be the first reach, secondary would be the secondary by the name. The local domain, if you have local AD, definitely you need to add a local domain. And these are the DNS protocols that you want to play around depending on your configuration. If you want a certificate to be used, you can definitely add it over here. Then we have dynamic DNS. We can add dynamic DNS over here depending all on your configuration. Everything where you need the firewall to resolve the DNS to will be configured in this particular option. Coming to the DNS server, this is DNS server. Let's say you have in-house hosted website or anything that needs DNS resolution in-house. You can add DNS entries here, or maybe you want to reach out to some specific IPs of that particular FQDN that is for fully qualified domain name. You can add the entries here, and once you have added the entries here, view, see this way you can just add the entries. So basically, this says that this is the name. This can be customized according to your need. This is the fully qualified domain name, and this is the IP. So anyone from my network, including the firewall, wants to reach out to this particular FQDN, firewall will translate this to this particular IP address. Okay, so this is hexadecimal. Mm, this is FQDN. This is hexadecimal to an IP. Okay. The status is on and off depending on your configuration. There are type of FQDN. You can use any depending on what you have and add it over here. You can specify the TLS depending days, hours, minutes, depending on all everything depends on your configuration basically. Coming back to this place, this is once you add an entry, DNS entry here, you can give a global preference over here and you can configure that return and your entry is available on the GUI. Now, coming next to IPAM. IPAM interfaces are basically an integration part of Fortigate. We will come to this, but when the configuration is required, not now. Okay. So today we are just running through some basic options, and going through all the options would be really a lengthy video. This is SD-WAN software defined wide area network by Fortinet. Not by Fortinet, but basically best in the market. Literally best in the market. There is no word. There is no particular. Uh, I don't see any other competition doing this level of firewall integration on an SD-WAN device. That to inbuild. You don't need any other. So basically, it's the best in the market. So this is your SD-WAN. All you do is you add multiple ISPs to this particular virtual WAN, and then that becomes your main WAN to throughout the configuration. So in the performance SLA, you can literally see um, how much the packet loss latency or jitter is available on that particular ISP. And if you face a huge packet loss on the ISP side, you can get those statistics to the ISPs and get the problem resolved from the ISPs. This is SD-WAN rule. So SD-WAN rule has been a thing changer for all the network administrators. So this rule basically helps you to, you know, define how your traffic would be divided into when it is going out. So source based, session based, spillover, source destination IP, volume. There's a lot of algorithms available, and also you can add specific rules to this particular firewall to the SD-WAN when needed according to your configuration. So we will look after in the SD-WAN video, and I'll make an SD-WAN dedicated video, and then we will really configure and test this down. Since this is a demo, this is a demo by Fortinet. We get the read-only access. We cannot configure anything, and we can't, change around the configuration which is already there. So we'll move next. Static routes. So whatever static routes are required will be available here. If you want to add any static route to the firewall, will be available here. Policy route. If you know, there are two types of firewalls. One is policy based routing and one is dynamic static routing. So if you have any policy based route will be added over here. Then we have dynamic routing option available here, available uh, down there. Then we have diagnostic. We can take packet captures and then study the PCAP file into Wireshark. We can download the PCAP file into Wireshark. Then we have debug flow to see exactly what the NPU is doing. So you can read the warning here. It says NPU hardware acceleration must be disabled on the respective firewall policy to see all packets. To do so, use this particular command in the CLI. So what this actually means is NPU hardware acceleration is basically Fortinet's way of boosting the performance of the firewall. So when we take logs or we take debug flow, basically we are interrupting the FortiGate performance and getting all the logs to the visible eyes. So when that needs to be done, we need to stop the Fortinet default workflow and then get the logs on board. So that is why we need to disable the auto ASIC offload so that we can get all the logs. Then we have next option is policy. We are done with the network. We are jumping to policies. We have policies, firewall policies, multicast policies. This is actually a demo version, so we might face a little lag. Okay. So these are policies. The view that you're looking right now is interface pair view. You see over here. Oh yeah. See, interface pair view. So which gives you an interface pair from and to is specifically defined. You have all these policies. You can create, add policies, creating and adding policies again, different topic in it. So, but the point is you get it over here. You have different view options by sequence grouping. You get by sequence uncategorized, implicit, and then you have by sequence. You just get the policies in a sequence. That's it. There is no grouping. Just list of policies top to bottom. That's it, nothing else. So you get that way, and this is how you can run through. And then just like the interface option, we have filtering options available here. On every column you have filtering options available. If you there is no if there is a column which is not listed here, you can anytime just hover on the first column, click on the settings, and add whatever the column you need over here. Okay, cool. So if you want to check which policy is being applied for which particular traffic. Okay, so let's assume that you have thousands of policies on your firewall and you don't know what exactly policy is being applied for that particular user, but you have the source and destination and the type of traffic you want to look for. So you go to policy match on the GUI and then add the input details like which interface the user is coming from, what is the protocol it is being used, the source IP, and this is optional, source port is optional, source IP and destination IP, destination port, and you can search, and then you can see what exactly the policy is getting matched, and that's how you can troubleshoot the policy exactly. Coming to the next, local and policies. Local and policies are basically for your internal firewall policies about the protocols and how the internal traffic would be working between the interfaces. Now coming to this is all IPv4 and IPv6 access control list. So you can define specific source address, specific destination address, and then the action if you want to drop or allow the traffic, depending on this is a raw level policy. I can say this is a standard policy. This is a good feature though if you want to use, but the best recommended would be just go with firewall policies and add it there. The less number of policies, the more maintain the network is. An IT guy would relate to this particular code. Coming next is our addresses. So so what basically you do is you create an address here in which you add IP address, you may add FQDNs, you may add anything over here, and these addresses would then be called into the firewall policy. So if I want to give an google.com access to all my networks, so I configure it like 192.168.99.0/24, which I configure over here, and then I go to the firewall policies and I mention that particular address into the source of the particular policy. And let's say I want to use this particular 99.0/24 network to multiple policies. I don't write it down every time. I just make an address and use this particular address to the multiple locations. The way this all address, you see, all address is used 40 times. In the reference column, you can see how many times this particular address is used and where it is used. So you see this particular address is used 40 times. If I click over here on 40, I can see the list of policies where this particular address is used. And then if I clicked on this particular policy, I can view that the properties of the policy, basically the configuration of the particular policy. And even if though I don't want to see over here, I can get the policy ID in the brackets. It says 221, sorry, 2 reference 21 is the policy ID, and I'll go and show in list, and then it will show me the 21 policy ID into the list. You see, that's how. So all the addresses created there are utilized here in the source and destination column. Okay, and the same addresses would be utilized, can be utilized anywhere into the policy. I'll show you static routes. See, address. This is an address created and now it is called here. So you see VPN GCP remote. So we go to policies and objects, we go to addresses, then we go to address groups. You see VPN GCP local and remote. And what this has is VPN GCP local subnet 1. This particular address is created here. Let me search that for you. It's VPN. Enter. So see VPN GCP local subnet 1, 2, 3. and that particular local subnets, 123 subnets, are uh, grouped together into this particular group, and this group is called into the static route. So I don't need to mention 123 subnet and remember them all the time. All I need to do is make this one-time activity of creating addresses and then call the particular into the static route. That's how we do it. And IPv6 addresses, IPv6 groups, address template. So as far as you're not using IPv6, you're good with two options. If you're using IPv6, then you need to go over here. That's it. And then next is our services option. These are the protocol lists that you can configure and use them into the firewall rule, just like addresses. Then we have service database. This is basically, you know, uh, an extended arm for your firewall policies where you get the list of application. You see this list is huge. You look at the scroll bar, it's tiny little scroll bar. There are total 1,898 entries on this local firewall. And if I'm not wrong, Fortigate has 40,000 plus list of applications, which is constantly updating in their Fortigate server. So you see this list. So let's say I want to completely bypass Amazon websites and Amazon services. I am not gonna sit and write down all the Amazon websites and services and remember their IPs and remember their protocols. That's not a job for me. I will just search Amazon over here and see. I got it. All the Amazon services in a one go. I just select them and just add it to my rule. That's it. So this is really useful. This is really helpful if you need to work with application-based rule, where your rule definition comes from an application and or application ID basically. Next is services, and we have virtual IPs. The most important, the most sorry, I skipped schedule. Schedules are basically timings between when the rule whenever the configuration will be applied, always means 24 by 7, and you can create your custom schedule maybe from Monday to Friday. So you want a specific rule to be applied only between Monday to Friday, you can do that. You can create a schedule for Monday to Friday, and in that also from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And so that particular rule will be active only on Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on the other time it would be stay off. So that can be done here. Then we have virtual IP. That this is I don't know why Fortiget called it as virtual IP. Is nowhere a virtual IP. It is called destination netting. It's called DNAT basically. So you have an public facing interface. You have a private IP, and then whenever any traffic hitting this particular interface with service, I'll open one and show you. If I open this, so if any traffic is hitting this particular IP with the protocols or the filter that I mentioned here, will be natted to this particular private IP 10.8.8.23.8. So any traffic that is hitting this IP will be natted to this IP. Destination netting, we call it as simple. Destination netting is done here. And then we go to IP pool. If you want to do source netting, you can use this particular IP pool. You can create an IP pool here. This IP pool will then be utilized into the rules. Let me show you how. So this is the name. I copy this, go to firewall policy, I go in search, paste and search. See, so this particular firewall policy is using a source NAT over here. So any traffic that is going out from this particular policy would not have the source coming actual source, will have this source, this IPs. Okay, there's a single IP actually, this IP. So that's how we do it. The source NATing is in the IP pools, destination NATing is in the virtual IPs. Okay. Traffic shaping, the name itself says traffic shaping, where you give where you apply QoS, quality of service, to the uh, traffic, where if you want to dedicate 10 Mbps line to specific traffic, maybe you have directors internet running slow and you want to pamper your director with dedicated 40 Mbps speed, so you allot that 40 Mbps speed for the director's MAC address or IP or maybe device. If you have 40 EMS, you can specifically name him, you can add the user AD XYZ options with all the parameters in place. You can give him 40 Mbps line and pamper him. Next is the most important part, the security profiles. So these security profiles are the most valuable thing on the entire firewall, because that's what the purpose of firewall is, to provide security to your network. So this is very crucial. You need to really understand and get all your focus now. This video is getting too lengthy. Get all your focus here. So moving on to antivirus. Antivirus itself, you understand what antivirus is, right? So I'm not gonna dive into that. So this is where you find the antivirus. You create the antivirus profile. You call this antivirus profile to the firewall policy. So you see this reference. You click here three. You see the policy ID. At this particular policy ID, this particular antivirus profile is being used. You can create multiple profiles depending on your network, depending on your departments. You can go department wise profiling, where your sales department is having different antivirus profile, your marketing department is having different antivirus profile. But one thing is for sure, the less number of profile, the more easy to maintain. The more number of profile, the admin has to sacrifice his whole and soul for that particular, for maintaining that particular profile. Okay, so the less number of profile, the more happy you are. So similarly, we have web profile. All the website level filtering will be done here. We have video profile, which definitely needs DPI, deep packet inspections are not recommended if you're not using deep packet inspection or you're not into advanced mode. DNS filtering also not recommended if you're not into advanced mode. Application control also not recommended if you're into advanced mode. Yes, you can use application control for basic things, but nowadays applications are more mature and they use web more than the application level protocols and the application ID. So if you're using application control profile, make sure you know exactly how to use it. Okay, so this you configure all this profile here and then call them into the firewall policy. Next is your intrusion prevention. It is basically botnet control for all your CNC. This is IPS prevention. Okay, this is detection. There are two different things. IPS and IPD are two different things. Sorry, I messed up. IDS and IPS. I mean to say IDS and IPS, intrusion detection service and intrusion prevention service. My bad, slip of tongue. So next is our email filtration. So basically these are you create profiles here, you call them to the firewall rule. That's what the basic concept of this GUI is. And then you see the underlining thing here, the segregation line over here, see? So below this is all the signature and information that you really need to dive in for the advanced configuration. And above this is a profiling. So here you create profile, here you create profile, here you create profile, and these profiles are then called to firewall policies. But anything below this line is for signatures, and you create your signatures and give those signatures over here. Then you add these signatures to the profile, and then you add this profile to the firewall policy. So you see that's how the function goes. Next is VPN. Of course, we have IPsec VPN. All type of IPsec VPN is supported in the Fortigate firewall, hub and spoke, side-to-side, custom VPNs, CLI-based VPN, open VPNs. Everything is supported in the Fortigate firewalls. Most versatile firewall I've ever seen. Also, if you have multiple FortiGates on all your location, you can get a VPN locative view. So that's how you're getting right now. So we are in US, this is Las Vegas, this is San Francisco. So we have two FortiGate, which the tunnel is definitely down. We have third VPN, third FortiGate over here. This is maybe something else. This is a FortiGate, this is tunnel down, this is a FortiGate. Okay. So to drill down, you can just click here and you can get and IPsec view, why it is down and why it is not. So you see all the data here. So this is also a great dashboard to use, but not a reliable dashboard. Let me make this thing very clear. This dashboard is only built up depending on data, and the data is provided by you. So if you are not giving valid data to FortiGate firewall, the firewall will not be creating this particular map for you. So you need to give the data on the first place, then the FortiGate will create that map for you. Sorry. Okay, next is our user authentication. Everything regarding to user will be configured here. So if you have LDAP, you can integrate it into LDAP servers, that is equivalent to AD. If you have Radius, you can configure here. If you have single sign-on, you can configure here. If you want to give a global authentication setting for all your AD users, can be done here. If you have 40 token, you can integrate your 40 tokens from here. Then if you have local users, you don't have anything AD or anything, if you want to create local users, you can create local users from user definition. So you go here in user definition, you create users here. You can create user groups and call the group to the firewall policy later on, just like this. SSO guest user is configured here and it is utilized into this particular profile. Okay, so similarly you can create your group and use it into another firewall policy, or maybe in SD-WAN policy, maybe local in policy, anywhere in the firewall where you really need to. Next is Wi-Fi and switch controls. So this option, I will not be going through this right now because this option specifically needs 40 switches and 40 access point. So when those particular 40 switches and 40 access point are into your network, you can configure those switches and those access point through the firewall itself. So your firewall becomes a switch controller and a 40 access point controller in that case. You really need a Fortinet fabric for that. That's a really great feature if you have all the products from Fortinet, but if you don't, you don't need this option. This is system. So everything regarded to FortiGate system is here. Everything, like literally everything. Administrator, you define your admin user here, the profile here. So how this function is, here is an admin profile. You get this profile, you create all this profile, and then these profiles are mapped to this particular user. So what you do is you create profile and give the profile level configurations here. So do I want this user to have read and write for firewall options? So you see these options and compare these options. Those are same: firewall, user and device, FortiView, network, system, security profiles, VPN. So if I want a user only to play with VPN, so I'll give read and write to VPN and the rest will be read, or maybe none. The option will be completely disappeared from here. You see? Cool. So next is, so you create a profile like this over here, and then you add that profile, map that profile to a user over here. Simple as that. Firmware, somewhere for this firmware for FortiGate can be configured, can be uploaded, downgraded or upgraded from here. So you have FortiGuard upgrade options available from 6.4.0 and above versions, and you can uh, really upgrade your FortiGate directly from the cloud. Not recommended though, but you can. Settings. Settings is you can give the host name, which appears over here all the time. So you know where you are, how you logged in. This is your time zone. You can change your time zone from here. Then you can set NTP server. So other devices like 40 switches and 40 access point get the time zone from here, from your FortiGate firewall, where they will be listening to the HTTP access port, the HTTPS access port. Redirect to HTTP basically means that this particular firewall will not run on HTTP protocol. So if I click here, you see I'm using HTTPS protocol, hypertext transfer protocol secure, so that it is. you are using FortiGate certificate. So since I'm not getting any error here, the connection is secure. But when you get your fresh piece of FortiGate firewall, the connection is not secure because it is using firewall default certificate with the firewall serial number in it, SC and name. But here I'm using custom certificate. Not I am. FortiGate is using custom certificate. For SSL it is SSS 22. Then we have rest of the option. Password policy basically specifies the strength of password which would be given to users or maybe admin users. The look and feel of the particular, see, marine. Okay. Oh, okay. Retro. Oh, that's dark. Okay. Mm-hmm. Great. They've given great option how your FortiGate will look on GUI. There you go. You know what that does. And rest of the options. Okay. Now coming to HA configurations is here. You can just add active or you can go with active passive depending on your requirements. Then you have SNMP trap and SNMP configuration over here. Public demo depending if you have a 40 NAC then SNMP would be working smoothly. If you don't, you need to configure it over here on the first place. Then we have replacement messages. All the disclaimers during login and logout Capri portal will be customized from here. If you need to add your company logo, if you need to add your own web page, you can add it over here. White labeling is definitely available. This is FortiGate server. All your license details for this particular device will be visible here. You need to upgrade your database. You can do that over here. FortiGate updates. How often do you want the FortiGate firewall to get the 40 updates every day, every 1 hour, 1 minute, not 1 minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, daily, weekly, automatic. Automatic basically it within every hour period, depending on the load of the firewall. Okay. Next is filtering. If you see if you are connected to FortiGate server. Okay. Next is feature visibility. So GU the FortiGate has a lot of features, a lot of features. So not every feature is useful in every network. So if I don't want that feature, if I'm not using that, I don't want that to stay in front of my eye every time. I am the most organized guy ever in terms of technology. So if the feature is not being utilized, I don't want that to stay in front of my eye. So what I will do is I'll come here, I will disable whatever I don't want, I'm not using or I don't want to see, and then I'll hit apply. So whatever is disabled here would not be visible on the GUI but still can be configured into the CLI. The CLI is the most superpower you have in the FortiGate firewall. But GUI, if you don't want to see it, you can disable it. If you want to see it, you can enable it. It's completely on your choice. But that does not mean the feature is getting disabled. The visibility on GUI of that feature is getting disabled. The feature is still there, still can be configured via CLI. Certificates, of course, the name itself says you can just add and upload certificates to the FortiGate firewall. Security fabric, all your integration would be done here. Physical and logical topology view, it just has the VPN heat map. As I said before, data should be provided by you and then the FortiGate will create everything. But the physical topology, if you have FortiGate in Fortinet product in your network, this should not be a big deal for firewall to generate. But yes, it's a little slow, uh, little too slow. There you go. That's a map. That's your diagram. That's a topology of the FortiGate under this. So this is all interactive. You can click on it. You can view it. You can zoom in it. Everything is interactive. Hover over your diagnostic showing list. Everything is over interactive here. And this is logical topology. How logically things are connected. How logically they go through. Okay. Next is automations. If you want to create automation, so let's say my one ISP is on and I want an email immediately, so you can do that over here. If you have high CPU utilization and you want to email about it, you can do it over here. You want to execute some particular scripts when SSL VPN is connected or VPN is connected, you can do that. Anything that you want to do in a flow format can be done over here. Fabric connectors are basically your central management. All the integrations of Fortinet fabric, Fortinet products can be done here. Forti Sandbox, Forti Deceptor, Forti Mail, Forti another mail, Forti NDR, Forti Connector, Forti Connector. These are basically AD connectors, supported connectors. Central management is your Forti Manager, Forti EMS, logging, Forti Analyzer. This is device level, LAN edge. This is security fabric, Fortinet. So everything on the Fortinet fabric can be connected here. External connector means your AD, LDAP server, Amazon, AWS, Azure, GCP server, a lot of Cisco, basically any connector or any external apart from Fortinet you need to integrate can be done here. Asset Identity Center is basically you get the end user details about who is connected where and how their IP and everything, Windows software, XYZ things. Logging and reporting, the naming itself gives you an idea about what it is and how it is. So these are the logs on the FortiGate. You can see real-time logs. You can customize from where you're looking from the memory. Memory means the index inbuilt storage available on the Fortinet, which is not too much, a little. So of course, analyzer would be a great option. Then local traffic, you can filter it out from here. And then we have system events. And system events, you get logs like VPN events, user events, FortiSwitch events, endpoint events, VPN events, as said. General system events where you can see administrator login, log out, successful, everything, whatever they are performing, logs. So you see multiple peoples are logged in. Top one, marketing. Okay, security events. These are events from antivirus, SSL, web filtering, application control. So system events is are basically related to the firewall and from the firewall. Security events are basically from the security profile. So whatever profile you have configured, you can see the data. I have not this demo unit does not have configuration for firewall, file filtering profile. So we don't see any events here, but we have application control configured. We have antivirus configured. Then you go to reports. You can generate your reports here. The name itself says reports and log settings. Definitely how logs can should be captured. Where should it be captured? Should I be transferred to an assist log or not? Everything over here. Threat weight. So yes, here we have an overall view of GUI. It's more to this. There is a lot more to this. I have rushed this video entire time. I know, I understand, but covering these many points and these many features in a video is definitely not possible. So soon we are going to coming up with a series and getting every feature bit by bit, everything that needs to be studied into FortiGate firewall will be covered. So stay tuned, subscribe. If you have any queries, if you have any doubts, if you need any help, please comment it down. I'm here to help you. And this video is for educational purpose only. This is just for your knowledge and education, nothing else. Yep, thank you so much for watching. See you soon.